Hello everyone, it's Tana. Welcome back to another video for the Rabbit Hole Designs. We have the new release here. We have the cat's eye or cat eye stencil. And then I have the Halloween cupcake stamp set, all about the hat, and advice from a pumpkin. So a Halloween cupcake has "You're so sweet, it's scary." All about the hat has "A hat is more than just a hat. A hat is an expression of the soul." And advice from a pumpkin has a whole bunch of mix and match. Keep growing, shine from within, get plenty of sunshine, give thanks for life's bounty, think big, be outstanding in your field. So today we're going to work with Halloween cupcake, and it's all about the hat. I will save advice for a pumpkin for another video. And I'm going to ink blend a Halloween background. A nice, spooky, cloudy sky with a bright white moon. So I'm using a piece of masking tape that I traced a circle on. And that's going to be where my moon is. And I use that new regular Distress Ink Prize Ribbon ink. And I didn't make sure that the entire panel was covered evenly. I just wanted to lay down a base color before I started ink blending my clouds. So I have the colors up on the screen for the clouds. I switched to Catherine Pooler inks because most of my mini distress ink pads are drying out. And I also use the clouds in my coffee stencil from the Rabbit Hole Designs. And I'm just going to go back and forth here with the three colors and alternate. Now you don't have to do the whole panel all the way down. I just wasn't quite sure how high I was going to layer my hills. So I wanted to make sure I didn't have to go back and do it again. So I have a whole bunch of black pieces cut out with grassy hill dies that I had in my stash. And I'm just going to trim those down to fit the vertical slimline panel. And I did it vertical because I wanted a whole bunch of hills. I also die cut a fence from an old card kit that I had in my stash and cut that into pieces. And I think I put 3 of them on here and alternated those as well. And there was no rhyme or reason. I just made sure that no clouds were able to peek through my hills. And that was about it. I also did not add any dimension because it was going to be heavy enough layering all this cardstock one on top of the other. So I decided not to add dimension to any of the hills, which kind of presents a problem when you start to put the pumpkins on. But so what I did here, because I already pre-cut and colored my images, I stamped out 3 of the cupcakes, and then I stamped out just the pumpkin from the cupcakes, and decided to use just the pumpkins with the little witch's hat on this card. After I have all my hills and fences glued in, I have placed my pumpkins, and I still don't know. I added vellum clouds. I added a little bit of that same ink that I ink blended the clouds with on the vellum clouds. And what I did was I took the negative pieces from the clouds in my coffee stencil, traced those on vellum, and then fussy cut them out. And then I used crystal glaze to glue them. And I did that because I didn't realize they were going to be on a totally white moon. So you were especially going to see whatever I used to adhere them to the card panel. So to cover that up, I decided to stamp out the bat that's decorating the bottom of the cupcake 3 times and colored that and fussy cut that out to put in the sky. And I also added the little tag that says "boo" that you could stick in your cupcake as like lawn signs. But you let me know in the comments below, would you have left the lawn signs out or would you have added them? Because part of me thinks maybe I made this one a little too crowded, but I like the way it looks. I like Halloween scenes when it comes to cards. I think they're fun, and you can make them spooky or funny or anything you want. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. I also decorated the inside of this one. And the final slimline card size is 4 by 8.5. And now we're going to move on to our second slimline card. And for this one, I'm going to use the cat eye stencil. And I'm using picked raspberry and carved pumpkin distress oxide this time, rather than the regular distress ink. And man, I really wish I had some tinier brushes to do this with, because this was quite difficult with a brush this size, trying to get just the color I wanted into the rose of the cat eye. But in the end, it worked out pretty well, and we're going to do an emboss resist technique on this one. And as you can see, it's a slimline card, but the 6x6 stencil lines up perfect, so you're able to extend that if you want for a slimline card, which is what I do here. Now, with Distress Oxide, you should be able, if you do it quick enough, to go in and dump your embossing powder right on top of that as soon as you blend it. But it was so hot here, guys. So hot, so humid, and I had so many fans going that it was dry. So I had to line the stencil back up, use a watermark ink pad, and then I had to put my embossing powder on. So there I'm showing you it's all heat embossed and shiny. Now I'm going to do the second half here really quick. And I'm just going to do the same thing, except this time I was lucky enough. I did it fast enough, and it wasn't as large a spot, and I was able to put the embossing powder on before the oxide dried. But I will tell you, even though it's not in the video, I went over the entire thing again with a watermark ink pad and doubled up the layer of embossing powder, just because this technique scares me so badly. I hate to put that black ink on and then ruin my very lengthy work, if you know what I mean. But it worked out. I put the black Distress Oxide on, wiped off the black off of the embossing powder, and it turned out pretty cool. So now I'm going to use 2 half-inch pieces of Purple Mist Satin Effect Tonic cardstock. And don't ask me why I drew the lines on the back of the cardstock, guys. It did nothing whatsoever for lining it up for me. So 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom. I think I eyed it pretty well. It ended up being the entire width of the card base, so I trimmed it down as I'm showing you here. And we're going to put that on a black card panel. And I pulled out a sentiment from last year's Halloween release. It says, Wicked never looks so good. Okay, I remembered. Look, I remembered something, guys. So I spelled out the word Wicked with some alphabet dies from my stash out of the same Purple Mist Satin Effect cardstock. Mirrored Satin Effect cardstock. Say that 3 times twice. I stamped out the rest of the sentiment on a black sentiment strip and heat embossed it with silver. I tried to heat emboss it with a Kitsch Flamingo embossing glaze, but it just looked clear on the black sentiment strip. So, and unfortunately I don't have any orange embossing powder. Do you believe that? That's something I need to get. So I went with silver because it kind of matched the spider web sparkles on the hat. And then I lined up my word Wicked kind of in a curve that met the front and the back of the sentiment strip, and added some black iridescent half pearls. And that's it for this video, guys. Don't forget to sign up for the Rabbit Hole Designs email so you can be aware of new releases and lots of inspiration. And follow the Rabbit Hole Designs online so you can see more inspiration from the design team. And we'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye for now.